hot as balls for 3 days. Monday, it was 94. And I thought, well, this is pretty hot. Yesterday, it was 100. And today, it's 98. But the best thing that's happened is that we're about to get a storm. My mother and I have just been to Lowe's and to Salvation Army and to Claire de Lune. I could maybe, or if I could put this phone in a plant. It'd be nice if I could. I don't think I can. Let me try. Let's see here. Here, hold on. Rainy here. Oh, look, it did work. I'll be darned. Stay safe. The last time I did a video with my husband, people were like, you're going to get struck by lightning. I was like, I'm in the freaking house. So my YouTube has not been working, but I think it's my other phone. I'm pretty sure I cracked it. Yeah, so I came last night to see my mom. I live about an hour and 10 minutes away. They have a house in Rocky Mount, which is where I grew up, and they've got their house on the market because they have a house in Beaufort that they really like, and I think they're kind of sticking to Beaufort. And so we were sort of going through things, looking at things to decide what keep, sell, giveaway. If you're new to me, my in-laws, my husband's mom and dad both died 4 months apart. Kind of, particularly his mother was 80, shocking in January, and his dad in May. And we learned a lot from that. We learned that they owned a lot of things, and I didn't particularly know much about the things they owned, and they had kept a lot of stuff that you weren't necessarily keep. So I am committed to helping my parents be more organized. What you doing out here, Vern? You could get struck by lightning.
I thought one of those trees was going to land on me.
Why?
The wind hit.
Wind? It's wind. We love to talk about weather when we get old. No, I don't shout out anybody's names because I don't trust people. People are very naughty and they get me into trouble. Tell Alice I said hi. Well, I hope she'll come in here. Raining in Ohio. So anyway, one thing we did today was we went through, too bad that I couldn't be an expert on this subject because I'm really not an expert. I'm trying to learn to be an expert. We went through my mom's jewelry. Now, I'm an only child. I lost my older brother to cancer, so there's just me. So that less complicates things. But I was telling my mom, I said, I would like to look at your jewelry, and if there's certain things you would like the children to have, I would like to know. She was like, well, you're kind of good at that. I was like, yeah, but I don't want it pressuring on me. So then I was like, well, we could let them pick what they liked. And then we decided, well, what if the boys marry somebody we don't like and we don't want them to have it? So maybe Blair should just get the jewelry. We were going round and round about it. But it's good. I learned some things today that I didn't know. Some jewelry that my mom had, some stuff that my daughter has a 16th birthday coming up, and we found a couple things that we think would be perfect for that, and one thing I really like actually. But I got to practice what I preach, which is you can't take with you, and better to give with warm hands, right? And your friend was struck by lightning standing by our kitchen window inside. Well, if I get struck by lightning in the house, then I give up. I mean, at that point, I'm done. So it's kind of how I feel about nuclear weapons. I'm like, well, if everybody gets killed, why do I care? We'll all be gone together. Not that I want to go anywhere. I just don't want to be the only one left. Is that silly? So anyway, we were just discussing those things. And it was nice. Like, there was a bracelet that my mom's dad, who died pretty young in his 50s, gave my grandmother. He had bought for my grandmother, my mom's mom, before she died. And she found it. It's like a little gold bracelet with a flower on it. beautiful there. It is really pretty. It's kind of sunny. I think I've just lost my hearing. But there's thunder. The sky was sort of black. We were at Lowe's and then Salvation Army. Boys get dad stuff, watch, ring, tie pins. So that's interesting you say that about these tie pins. So there was a tie pin, and it's a gold nugget tie pin. And I was going to put it on my charm bracelet because do people wear tie pins? My brother had 2 watches, which is really great. And we gave one watch to my son Thomas for his high school graduation. And they will give the other watch to my son Russell for his high school graduation. And then my dad has a watch. My mom has a nice watch. 93 in Indiana. So yeah, I think it's good I just think it's really good to talk about the things. My ring, they were my grandmother's earrings for her 50th wedding anniversary. So that was another thing we did. We looked at mom's jewelry and I wrote down what she got it for. Like, oh, this was my 30th birthday, or this was my 50th wedding anniversary. So that way you know, and it makes it more special later on, you know? Have a tie pin, put it on a gold bangle. Wonder how that would work. Yeah. So, like, if these are stones of my grandmother's, what do I do with those? Do I keep this ring together and let one of the boys give it to their wives? You know, I mean, these are kind of big things to think about. These are not called real problems, but I do think in families there could be a lot of squabbles. I mean, you hear about it all the time. People don't talk anymore because somebody got the dining table and they wanted the chair and they didn't get this and they didn't get that. And I certainly would not leave a house to 2 people. No way, Jose. Not gonna happen. No. Well, maybe. It just doesn't seem like a good idea. Unless you absolutely had to. Not to. You would wait and see if I like the wives. Well, that's a good idea. You put your mom's diamond in a pendant you wear every day on a necklace. Oh, now that's a nice idea. So this is this was my grandmother's gold coin. Is it $1? I think it's $1. And then my parents, my dad brought me this emerald, and then there's a ring that matches it that my mother has had that she doesn't really wear. So the other thing we do is we sort of trade jewelry. So if somebody has something they wear more than the other person, then the other person gives it to the other person. Right now, she has a couple of my silver bracelets. Do you know the callbacks? What if someone only has 2 children? What do you do with the house? Well, yes, Sarah says she has an only child, but will not want any of it. Very good point, Sarah. Her daughter has autism. That's really interesting, Sarah, to talk about that. Yeah, like if I just had Amos. I guess then at that point, Sarah, to me, I would sell the stuff just to help him live. And then once he's gone, you know, where does it go? Maybe it hopes you would have like some cousins or something, somebody that could help, you know? Like my son Thomas was like, well, what about Amos? I was like, well, Amos isn't going to own a house. Amos can own a house, or a trust can own a house for him. But Amos isn't going to own or sell or whatever. And, but obviously I want Amos to have access. My mom left the house to my brother and I, and he wants to sell it, and I'm devastated. It's worth a lot in Southern California, so he wants to retire. I'm sad, man. Yeah, I'm sorry, Suzette. I think that's the problem, is that you have to, I think some people don't really want to deal with it, so they just go ahead and they do that just to make their own lives easier. Well, we're just going to split it, and they can figure it out. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. My sister-in-law is the lion's share of my mother's jewelry. Well, that's interesting. If you have two children in one house. Well, I guess I would talk to your children. So here's what I would say if I owned one house. Does anybody want to live in this house? Or can anybody afford to live in this house? If they both were like, we both want to live in the house, I'd be like, huh. Well, I think what we're going to do is sell the house first. Then we'll leave it to both of you and just know that I want you all to sell it. Would be my question. Been trying to get my only daughter to do this with me for years and she won't have it. She says she's too busy. Well, I tell her she's not busy. How to make it fair when 5 can support themselves but 1 can't due to autism. Well, Laura, I hope you have the waiver. I met a mom, a radiologist the other day who they have the waiver, and we were talking about the waiver and what that does. I think I have 4, and my 3 know that, we want to make sure Amos is cared for, but they also know that Amos does like to travel. Amos doesn't, worldly possessions are not something that Amos can comprehend, My mom has a lot of rental property and wants me to carry on the legacy. It stresses me out. Then I would sell them when she's gone. I mean, that would be me. Or if you were like me, my parents have some property and we've talked about what to do with it. And I've kind of said, I'm not interested in doing that. So some stuff has been sold, It's a lot of work. It's not raining yet. But yeah, I mean, it's tricky. It's really tricky. It's tricky. My relationship with my brother can be perfect because he's not here, right? And you made your son cufflinks from your mother's diamond. Lord, my son Thomas would lose some. No offense, but he would. It's just stuff. I think watching my in-laws pass away, it was like, wow, they had been collecting all these things and then they were gone, and at that point, they had never given anything that they loved or valued to anybody in our family. And it just would have been more special, Now, when my grandmother died, she had written down who got what. I got the earrings. My mom got a ring that she told my grandmother she was going to give each diamond to each granddaughter. And anyway, and that was nice because then it was like, well, it's all settled. Having plans and settled before death is the only way. And it might change. Like I told Mom, I said, we looked at your jewelry today. We know what you have. We know what it's worth. We know. And in 15 years, we might have a grandson or a granddaughter or multiple, and we can reevaluate. Or we might say, well, so-and-so's marrying so-and-so, and we really like them. Would you like to, maybe I'll give her this bracelet, There's always a greedy one in every family. Yeah. Well, even the way you're saying you showed up and caught him. Sounds like you expected that was going to happen. But again, it doesn't happen if things are written down. Yeah. It's just stuff. It's just stuff. And a lot of relationships get ruined over stuff, and it's just not worth it. I rep for a company that inventories everything and includes software to share the stories behind each item. Too sentimental here. Oh, you're too sentimental. A little bit sentimental, but I'm sentimental over kind of silly stuff. Like I said to Mom, what my dad gave me last time I was here, it's this big rock. And my My great great grandfather had this rock and signed his name in it, Frank Harold. And then his son did it. And then my grandpa, Raymond Harold. And then my dad and uncle. And then my plan is to have, you know, the boys sign it. So that's kind of special, you know? Or this plastic sugar thing was my mom's mom. It's green and white. And I'm like, don't get rid of that. Or these brown ones we had growing up, you know, or the Tupperware container that's long and green that holds celery. Everything will be sold and divided among 3 daughters. But what happens if there's like furniture and people want a thing? So that's when I think it's good to say, like, here's a bunch of furniture and we have 3 kids. I want everybody to pick out 3 things they like, you know? My husband is one of 11, and when his mother passed, she didn't have a will. Oh, that's a lot. I guess you just have to sell stuff. Stuff is all I have left. I know. Stuff. It's just stuff. Just stuff. We really work with our children on more than most people, I think, of wanting them to have these relationships and how having each other is always, it's the best gift we've ever given them. And it's expensive to have children. And we really want them to value how blessed they are to have each other. Because it'd be amazing to have, if I had 3 siblings here, you know? They're so fortunate to have each other. And even Amos gives such light and fun to our family. And though he's work and thinking about him as work and what his future is going to be like, I think he also keeps them grounded, or will keep them grounded. You know, they can never just not talk anymore because they're going to have Amos that they've got to talk about. And I think they have perspective that, like, life is a lot bigger than stuff, you know? In my parents' will, they wrote, nothing we have is worth fighting over. If we both want something, it's a coin flip. My dad died. All I wanted was his woodworking certificate. I have it hanging in our living room. Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. Well, I think the other thing to do is that if you have things and your children are like, I don't want these things. And granted, they might not know, they might be 12. But if they're like, I don't want a dining table, then just know, like, goodbye dining table. Don't be attached to something because they don't want it. Don't get your feelings hurt, you know? Because it's not worth it. My friend, good friend, when her husband had several sisters, and what they did was, I think he went first, he was the only boy, and then they went from oldest to youngest maybe. And everybody picked out one thing, and then they just took turns picking things. And that was really good. And then I've heard of somebody, they had like 4 sisters, and they drew numbers. So if you were 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 then got to go first the next time, you know? And they did it in lots. Like, this is really valuable stuff. So you get one of these, then you get one of these and one of these. But to me, maybe you want the woodworking certificate and the sugar jar. Maybe that's the most important thing to you. Then you shouldn't have to pick the Rolex or the car, right? Because you want the sugar jar. So my mom and I were talking about that, not putting a monetary value on things, even though they have a monetary value, because it shouldn't really be about the money value. It should be, this reminds me of, like, my mother has one bracelet that I really like. And she's worn it my whole life. It's like gold Mexican coins. And that's like, when I think of my mom, I think of my mom and that bracelet. You know, it's probably my most sentimental piece of jewelry that she has. Where other things are nicer, but they're not as sentimental to me. Drinking glasses you used on Sundays. Oh, I took some glasses from my in-laws' house. They had foxes on them, and we would always use them when we went over there to dinner. My mom had written names and funny messages on her thing, so we would laugh. Oh, that's nice. I don't think children know until they're older. Many regret later. Well, mine will be older. I'm not getting rid of anything, but like, I told my parents, we're not gonna like put furniture in storage for later. There might be two things that I'm like, okay, but to me, if we really want it, and we need to go ahead and just use it. So there's that. I had my bed growing up, and my parents, well, it was my bed. It was a present. I thought it was a terrible present, but my canopy bed. And I was like, said to my dad, I said, I'm coming to get my bed. It's like, what? I was like, that is my bed. You gave it to me as a present. And they were like, oh, fine. So I brought the bed. Blair used the bed for about a year. And then one day, she and about 4 people, flopped on the bed, and the bed, poof. And it didn't like break, like, oh, you can fix it. The side wooden rails that were like mahogany, like splintered. You lost your mom's jewelry in a tornado. Never even heard of that. Wedding dress. Whoa. I'm not bringing up the wedding dress. I don't want to take the darn wedding dress home. The wedding dress and the debutante dress are upstairs in one of the bedrooms. Do not. What am I going to do? Those things? Ugh. And they just go to die under somebody's bed. And then my daughter will be like, I hate that dress. This was your grandma's dress. You must wear it. I don't like that dress. Well, that's good. Just save everything for years and people hate it. I wonder where my mother is. Clearly hiding. And it's not raining after all that. It is a good bit cooler, though. It almost feels like Alaska out here now. Anyway, that's my soapbox for the day. Donate the dress. I'm not donating the dress. What if somebody wants to wear the dress? I just don't want to keep the dress in my house. It's in a box. It's very big. There's a really neat place in Rocky Mount, and it's the Strange family owns, it's called Imperial Dry Cleaners. And if you live in North Carolina, you know about Imperial Dry Cleaners, particularly Eastern North Carolina. And you go to take your wedding dress there or your debutante dress, and they get it all packaged up, and it's like sealed forever, almost like a tomb for clothes. So anyway, where the baptism dress is? Rent it out. Ooh, I could rent it out. That's an idea. Pretty sure my sister pawned all my mom's jewelry. Well, that's a horrible story. Lost my wedding dress in the same tornado. Oh, I'm sorry, Karen. Fires and tornadoes. I've never known anybody that lost anything in a tornado, I guess because of where I live, but that's a lot, isn't it, to wrap your mind around, like, what was sentimental to you. And, like, if you lose jewelry in a tornado, where does it go? Does somebody find it, you think, someday? Huh. You never hear about people finding jewelry from a tornado. Huh. Oh, that's interesting. Well, carry on. I'm going to go wallow on the couch, visit with Mom, and then we're going to have an early supper, and then I am going cha-ching back to Edenton, to my people. And tomorrow I have a podcast, a coffee chat with my YouTube members, Facebook subscribers in the morning at about 8:30. And then I have an orthodontist appointment with Dr. Steele, Derek Steele, who I love in Washington. And then I'm taking my son Amos back to the beach. So there you have it. And it's almost the 4th of July. 4th of July is a week from Friday. 4th of July, if you didn't know, is my very favorite holiday. Goodbye. Oh, my friend has 3 siblings. They put a jar by every item in the house and entered their name in the jar by the things they wanted, skip over the things. They didn't then have a third-party drawings. Oh, that's interesting. I think I'd like to do a quiz, like if they all want this watch, then be like, well, let's have a test. Mom shouldn't leave jewelry accessible since house is on the market. Oh, it's not accessible. Are you crazy? They basically have like a safe that's like a bunker. I mean, ain't nobody getting any jewelry. This house got robbed and there wasn't any jewelry. No, yeah, we're not worried about that. I think Amos is good. He's at home. I'll see him tonight, late. Hopefully he'll be asleep.